Abaru, Aboye, Obosheshe, Agbo Ato, Power is Ultimate, Ikado, Ikasan, Ikale. Whatever time you are viewing this video, faith that you are viewing it with good health and good peace. I'll be your instructor today, Baba Koafi Jako Moyokan. Welcome to the African Traditional Religious Academy. This is the Ancestral Keys course. And today I want to speak about OBI. Okay? I want to speak about OBI before we get into deep air in the lagoon, until we get into divination, until we get into these different terms, because you will run into what we call OBI a lot. For anyone who's wondering where this is born at, it is the Odu that is born is Eji Ogobi. The first Odu speaks about the importance of Obi. There's many different keys that we can speak about that speaks about the importance of Obi, but understand that there is different forms, different complexities, so I want to speak about it so you understand exactly what we're speaking about. The Obi that we're speaking about is Obi Saiso. When you find it over in Yoruba land, when you find it back in Nigeria, in the motherland, you find it as Saiso. This is the category, this is the function that we're speaking about. When you find it here, we're also speaking about Obi Abata, right? So Saiso, S-I-S-O, Abata, A-B-A-T-A, right? Obi Abata. Understand that we're speaking about the Kola nuts, Ashe. Understand that we're speaking about the Kola nuts, and as you can see, you have the lines on there. That's where you split them at. Understand that there's different types of Obi, which we will speak about. Understand that this Obi is very important in our cultures. What do we say Obi is? We say Obi is used to push, right? And when they use the term push, they're speaking about repellment. Okay? Obi lani aku, Obi pushes away death. Obi lani aru, eru, Obi pushes away sickness. So when we use the Obi, we're using it to repel certain negative forces, certain negative energies, and it has that frequency. But understand what Obi Abata is. What is Obi? Obi is understanding the will of the Orisas. We spoke about the Lagoon, understanding the voice and the mouth of the Orisas. And they must say things. They must tell us things. They must give us what the will, what the force, what the action is. Obi is understanding the will of the Orisas. Understanding the approach, not only the communication and the conversation, but the approach of the Orisas. And understand that the approach must be clean and it must be clear for communication. This is why you see during the preparation, you will see us using amitutu, you will see us using the cool water. We clean the environments, we clean the atmosphere that we're going to be casting divination. So you'll see us wipe the ground and clean the ground, or you will see sometimes they place a white rag or a white towel or a white sheet down and they cast on the white sheet. But also you see us using the clean water and the cool water, sprinkling it not only into the environment and the atmosphere, but also onto the kola nut itself. And this is part of the proper preparation. So understand that there's many different forms of what we're speaking about. You have Obi Aifin, Obi Alua Meta, Obi Aluja Marin, you have Obi Aipa, you have Obi Abata, and this is what we're highly speaking about. Obi Abata, which you find it as Obi Gidi, Ashe, and you have Obi Guru. When we are dealing with divination, understand that sometimes they might deal with Obi Aloju Meta, they might deal with Obi Aloju Marin, or Obi Abata, Obi Gidi, right? We never use Obi Guru. This is highly based off the eye system, the different halves, the different eyes that they have. And I'm not going to speak about all of the different complexities and formations for lack of time or lack of details. But understand that there is a form of Obi that we don't use and a form of Obi that we do use. Some should just only be used for nutritious value. Some should only be used for cooking in foods. Others, like Obi Abata, Obi Giti, is where we use specifically for divination. And like I say, you take two of these kola nuts, you split them in half, and you get the 4 sections. And this is when you get the combinations. Understand that the combinations is very similar to when you cast certain hands of the lagoon. So when we speak about Obi, or you're doing this research on Obi, or you're studying and trying to figure out the information of Obi, understand you're going to run into different facets of Obi. So we're speaking about Obi Abata, using the Kola nut. You will see Obi spoken about in Santeria or Lukumi. When they're speaking about it, then you see them take the chamalongos, right? You see them crack open a coconut. You see them cut out a perfect circle. You see them take the hair off of the shell of the coconut, and they may glue or seal a cowrie shell onto it, and this becomes obi. And then they cast those chamalongos, they cast that coconut shell with the cowrie, and this becomes obi. You also find obi spoken about with the coconut shells again, where they crack open 2 coconut shells, they get 4 halves, and they throw the coconut shells. That's considered obi as well, and I believe more Americanized diaspora, African traditional religions. Obi is also spoken about with the 4 cowrie shells. When you throw the 4 cowrie shells, this is why we don't call it arn de lagoon, right? We say arn de lagoon is 4 taken away from 20, and that is 16. So this is when you deal with the 16 cowrie shells, which we're highly speaking about in the class. But when you throw the 4 cowrie shells, you will see people speak about this being obi as well. So all of those different forms of obi is understood and accepted throughout the cultures. But when we speak about obi abata, we're speaking about throwing the kola nut. So I just wanted to make sure we understood the different forms of obi. Now, I want to speak about those first because, like I say, the similarities dealing with the combinations is very similar. So you don't deal with like odus as you deal with Arn de Lagoon or Dafa. You don't get the odus, but you do get determinants, as we call it. Yes, no, maybe, etc. So you get 5 different combinations. These combinations are titled the same as when we say Alafia, Ajife, Okoram, Itawa, Oyiku, right? You get these different combination names and they become very similar. So when we're dealing with 2 facing up and 2 facing down, which we would speak about male and female in a second. But when you have 2 kolas facing up and 2 facing down, or 2 open and 2 closed, as we say, maybe in like Abdilagoon, or when you're throwing with the cowrie shells, 2 open, 2 closed, 2 up and 2 down. When we deal with these terms, just understand we're speaking about the same thing: up and down, open and closed. So when you have 2 up and 2 down, understand that it is what we call OBI. OBI is a favorable divination. This is a favorable answer. This is one of the yeses. This is a more direct yes. This is a more clean cut yes. Okay? Understand when you get 4 up, this is a yes as well. This is a representation for peace. This is what we say could be alafia, right? So the first one, 2 up, 2 down, that strong, clear cut yes, that's what we call ajife, right? But alafia is when all of the faces are facing up, when all of them is open. Okay, when all of them is facing up, you get the 4 different determinants. This is a favorable. Like I say, this represents peace, and this represents alafia. Certain people don't take this as a yes because it's too strong of a yes. This could be a manipulated yes. This could be a yes that's just like, yeah, go ahead and do whatever you want to do. Go ahead. So you need to kind of be careful with it. A jife is more of a strong, clean cut where it's like you did the work. Yes, you can move forward. So we gotta be careful with those 2. Okay. If you have 4 facing down, this is what we call bota, right? 4 facing down tells us that you're dealing with obstacles, right? This is what we call oyiku. You're dealing with obstacles. You have to overcome this. A lot of work must be done. You must go and consult further, okay? This is what we call bota, the oyiku, all right? And then you have 3 facing up and 3 facing down. This is when we get okoran. This is a no as well. Understand when we deal with Okoran, they're just talking about struggles. They're talking about obstacles. They're talking about conflict. But you must consult and construct the spirits to get help. You still have a favorable lane to get help, Ashe. So it's not exactly a direct no as Oyiku, but it is a strong no, letting you know that you must do work to overcome. The third determinant will be 3 facing up and 1 facing down, which this says a non-favorable. This speaks about difficulties as well. But this could also be as what we call itawa. This is unknown, right? Sometimes we throw again when we get itawa. The spirits, the orisas, the iramoles could be confused. So you will throw again and consult again. The power behind OB and the reasons why we use OB so much, or as I should say, the practitioner who understands OB and understand its uses will usually be a person who is engaging in Ose Ifa. What am I speaking about when we say Ose Ifa? We're speaking about that weekly calendar that we know certain energies is present on certain days, whether it's Monday through Sunday. We know that certain orisas are charged during these days. So if you're following Ose Ifa, you're dealing with Obi a lot. You're throwing Obi and giving Obi Abata as an offering or as an honor a lot based on Ose Ifa, because you may be dealing with certain energies that find that as an appeasement, and you maybe you may not went to a Dafa reading. You might not have a specific Odu that gave you a specific Ebo to give. So governed by Osei Ifa, you have built a relationship with certain spirits. Let's just say Ogun. And on this specific day that geared on that Osei Ifa calendar, Ogun is present. You got the relationship built, so you know what Ogun is asking for, and you will throw Obi to make sure that your appeasement was correct, or you will give Obi in the exact manner of appeasement or offering. And this will gear up your alignment, right? When we deal with OB, we're looking for the alignment. We're not only looking to hear something back, we're paying attention to what is being said, Ashe. Now, understand when you deal with OB or you deal with divination in general, but highly OB, you would get those X's and O's. What do those X's and O's mean? I spoke about being open and being closed. I spoke about up and down, having a mouth and having a stomach. Ashe. This is the male and female. Each and every Kola has male parts and it has female parts, and this is why we split it into 4. Why do we use the number 4 when we're dealing with the divination? Why do we use the number 4 so heavy when we're dealing with spirituality and trying to communicate with spirits? Number 4 is the first number that your brain can recognize without having to ask so many questions after. 4 is the number that you don't need to consult further for. Your brain just understands it, comparing to using 5, compared to using 6, compared to using 16 or 21 different objects. Using 4 is a more, I don't like to use the term elementary as in disrespect, but it's a more easier process for the brain and consciousness to download. 4 is a representation for foundation, okay? We say that the double 4 is 8. What is 8? 8 is not only speaking about Obitala, the pureness, the clean cut, the focus, the light, being clear, being clean as the white cloth, but also the 8 turned on its side for infinity. So when you see the number 4, it is a representation trying to tell you for foundation, trying to maybe slow you down so you can build that foundation. So when you get these different determinants, understand that it highly will be used, or you can highly find the energy based off the number 4. This is also why you see the number 16 based on that information. But understand that each and every set of 4 comes with male and female. Okay? Male is Eko, female is Abo. The male has to live in the middle. Ashe. We have to understand that the female is governed. The female is the creator. The female is the Ashe. When we speak about Oludumare, we speak about a female entity, most likely in most cultures. When we speak about a creator, we're speaking about a female entity. When we're speaking about a God, we're speaking about a female feminine entity. So understand that everything is the female. Everything is the woman. Everything is the ovaries. Everything is the womb. The male lives in the middle, is speaking about the semen, is speaking about the true energy that's providing, that's making things possible, that's making things safe. This is a part of the 4 and the foundation. Okay? Understand when you deal with African culture, understand when you deal with Ifa, when you're dealing with a Babalao, why is it so important to say Abaru, Aboye, Abosheshe when you meet a Babalao? And he will repeat, or he will respond Agbo Ato, because it's all about the greetings in Ifa. It's all about the greetings in African culture. So when it comes to a priest or a Babalao, in Ifa, you greet them a certain way. When it comes to a blacksmith, You greet him a certain way. When it comes to a painter or a crafter or artiste, you greet him a certain way. When you greet your mother or you greet a father or an elder inside the community, you greet them in a certain way. This is the same way we greet the orisas, right? Same way we greet the spirits. The greetings is very important. It's about the energy. So when we deal with Obi, we're trying to get close to the energy of greeting these spirits in the right way. So we appease them with specific energies. Okay? Understand that when we deal with Lukumi, when we deal with Santeria, once again, we spoke about them and using the chamalongos, using the coconuts. That is Akbon, right? And Ifa, Asheshe, we do not recognize Akbon. Coconuts is used in Ifa Asheshe, but it's not a high used item as far as being coconuts is not highly used as much as you find it in the Diaspora, as much as you find it in Lukumi and Santeria. So I just want people to understand the different forms of it, right? Going back to the male and female, when you deal with the female, you're dealing with Aya Obi, right? This is the term that we're using to speak about that we know that's a feminine energy there, the 4 lobes. Sometimes you get Obi Abata used as the 6 lobes, and that's just matter between what temple or fashion of the culture you are in. Ngambanja is using only 2 lobes. So you will see sometimes in our culture, even in Ifa, Asheshe, and Yoruba land, they will only use one obi. They split it open. They only have 2 halves, and they use that. Understand that this is not exactly always appeased. So you use it for specific things. This is like a reading package, right? You're using it as just a quick determinant of how to use. This was highly used during Corona, during the pandemic. Obi Abata was very, very hard to get. So what did they use? Orogo, right? They used the bitter kola nut. It's the same genius family, but it's a different type of nut. It's a different kola nut. It's the bitter kola nut. This is when you find it brown and usually in an oval shape. They will use that as well if you just can't find Obi Abata. So that's something to keep in mind as far as substitutes and different things, because we always get questions about, okay, if we don't want to follow Lukumi and Santeria and use the coconut Obi, what else can we substitute for? And I would say if you want to follow it right, try to get to bitter coconut. Ashe. Understand when we do deal with the Kari, we're dealing with Owo Marin, right? This is when you deal with the 4 shells. These have the same determinants and similarities that I spoke about, whether it is Alafia, Itawa, Ajife, Okoran, or Ayiku. They have the same determinants, so some people will use that in substitute. Is it taboo? Not at all. Do every culture believe in it, recognize it, and use it? Not at all. So this is something to keep in mind based on where your lineage is going and the way you are taught. So I wanted to just take time to speak about the importance and certain details of Obi and using this Obi Abata, using this Obi Saiso, using this Kola nut for divination. And like I say, this is having the correct approach. This is having the right greeting, right? This is us having a clean-cut communication with the Orisas for understanding, not only repelling certain energies away from us so we can understand different combinations of those determinate answers based on the questions that we are giving, based on where we are in the human experience. So faith that, we have learned something during this duration, but also revert back to this information because it's so complex dealing with the different cultures. And for individuals who are practitioners in the diaspora, individuals who are practitioners here in America, individuals who are considered so-called African Americans, understand that the information is so vast. You must take time to research, because when you research and you're trying to come into Ifa Asheshe or try to follow the Yoruba teachings, you must gear that when you're researching. You must put that in when you're researching, because Santeria will come, Lukumi will come, Camboble will come, even Palos will come, any Hoodoo cultures will come when you're searching it, because you're so-called Black in America. You're in the Americans' culture. So we have the diaspora cultures in front. So when you're dealing with this information, you could be doing it wrong based on culture, temple, or just different sectors of African traditional religions. Once again, here at the temple, we don't believe that anyone could be doing something right or wrong. We believe that you should follow cultures and traditions, and you won't have to propose that question, okay? So power is ultimate, families. Faith that you have learned something with our time shared. And remember, the culture has different components to it, so it takes time to study. So faith that you will retain these notes, and you have been writing notes, and you will retain back to this video for further research and study. Ashe. So power is ultimate, families. Abaru, Abo Share, Agbo Ato. Faith that everyone is well out there. Alafia.